the landmark settlement that could get plastic pellet pollution out of America's rivers. This article was originally published by Grist, a non-profit, independent media organization dedicated to reporting on climate change. When Heather Hulton VanTassel went looking for plastic pellets in the Ohio River in 2021, she was simply trying to establish a baseline level of contamination. A new plastics facility was being constructed nearby, and she wanted to be able to compare the prevalence of pellets known as nurdles before and after it went into operation. The before number would probably be low, she thought. What she and her co-workers found, however, exceeded her expectations. We were really shocked at the numbers we were seeing, she told Grist. VanTassel is the executive director of Three Rivers Waterkeeper, a nonprofit that protects the Allegheny, Monongahela, and Ohio rivers in southwestern Pennsylvania. As she and her team went about testing the river 4 years ago, hundreds of nurdles were coming up in each sample they pulled with their handheld trawls, a device about the size of a large shoebox. And the plastic pieces were tiny, even more so than the 5mm nurdles she was used to. She had to add coffee filters to her catchment device to keep the particles from slipping through its sieves. The Three Rivers Waterkeeper team with Penn Environment searched for nurdles in Raccoon Creek, Pennsylvania. Credit, Penn Environment. VanTassel's team kept following the pellets upstream, trawl after trawl, until they eventually reached the Ohio River's confluence with Raccoon Creek, a popular area for swimming and fishing. That's where they found the source. An industrial stormwater pipe was transporting pellets from a styrofoam plastics facility and releasing them directly into the creeks. The water testers could see them flowing out all over the vegetation, VanTassel said, and deposited in the soil just above the water line. That finding became the catalyst for a legal battle that has just reached its conclusion. Three Rivers Waterkeeper and the non-profit Penn Environment reached a landmark settlement agreement with Styrofoam earlier this month, following a lawsuit they filed against the company in 2020 over its contamination of the Ohio River watershed.
Weighed down by negative news.
Our smart, bright, weekly newsletter is the uplift you've been looking for. The agreement, which also resolves a violation notice from the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection, requires Styrofoam to pay $2.6 million to remediate its plastic pollution and to fund clean water projects across the state. But what makes the settlement effective, according to the plaintiffs, is not this initial penalty. It's a requirement that Styrofoam must install technology to detect the release of any more plastic pellets from its facility in Monaca, Pennsylvania. If the technology finds even a single nurdle in the facility's stormwater outfalls, the company will have to pay out. Vegetation fish from Raccoon Creek covered in styrofoam nurdles. Credit, Three Rivers Waterkeeper. David Masser, Penn Environment's executive director, said the agreement should become a model and the blueprint for regulators and the plastics industry. I think they'll have a hard time saying rationally why they shouldn't monitor their nurdle pollution after a case like this, where the regulators and the industry are saying, we agree it's possible. Nurdles are the precursors to plastic products. Manufacturers melt them down so they can be shaped into ink pens, disposable cups, or any number of other items.
A water bottle, for context, is estimated to be made of about 1,000 nurdles.
Styrofoam nurdles in Raccoon Creek were made of expandable polystyrene, a type of plastic that has been banned in many jurisdictions due to its non-recyclability and tendency to break into hazardous microplastics destined to become things like packing peanuts, insulation for coolers, and foamy to-go containers. The company claims to be the largest expandable polystyrene producer in the American continent. Due to their tinyness, ranging from the size of a pinhead to that of a nubbin on a Lego piece, nurdles are liable to escape into the environment. Spills often occurred during transportation. These have been documented off the coasts of Sri Lanka, South Africa, Louisiana, and in many other places, but effluent from plastic production and processing facilities is also a significant pollution source. Once in the environment, nurdles and the fragments that break off them may get eaten by birds and marine animals, causing plastic to accumulate up the food chain as larger critters eat smaller ones. Plastic particles are associated with a range of health problems in both humans and other animals, including heart disease and immune system dysfunction, though it's not yet clear whether these are due to the leaching of plastics in urine, chemical additives, or the tendency of other pollutants to glom onto plastic particles, or perhaps some other factor. In the US, companies that want to discharge wastewater or stormwater into public waterways have to get a special kind of permit from their state's Environmental Protection Agency, or the federal EPA. The permit describes the types and amounts of pollutants that are allowed to be released, and anything not included on this list may be considered a violation of the Federal Clean Water Act. That formed the basis of Penn Environment and Three Rivers Waterkeeper's lawsuit. They argued that because Styrofoam's permit didn't say anything about nurdles, releasing them into Raccoon Creek was illegal. A jar of debris scooped from Raccoon Creek is permeated with plastic nurdles. Credit Sioux River's waterkeeper. Part of the settlement agreement with Styropak, which I expected to be approved by the federal court for Western Pennsylvania, gives the company 2 years to eliminate nurdles from its stormwater outfalls and up to 2 years to eliminate them from its wastewater outfalls. Should Styropak sell its facility to another company, those requirements will still apply. Crucial detail: since the company began winding down production at its Minaka facility earlier this year and reportedly plans to shut down completely in early 2026. While the facility idles, the consent decree only applies to its stormwater. The wastewater requirements will kick in if the facility resumes production. Styropak declined to be interviewed for this story and instead sent a statement noting that it is firmly committed to upholding the highest